Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double Pipcast. This is episode 7 for those of you that are keeping count at home. This week we're actually going to do an extended version of Let's Talk About It, where we're just going to focus on one specific card, and that specific card is Omega Supreme. We're going to do a deep dive into where he fits into the game right now, what some of the best cards are to pair with him, both action, upgrade, and character, and talk about how you can still get a copy of Omega Supreme. So thank you for tuning in, and here we go. So Omega Supreme, the Last Guardian, he came out in, I believe it was February, as a part of Loot Crate's Transformation themed box. That they theme all they did. Now that they're not going to be around for much longer, they theme all their boxes around different themes. So horror and keywords. So for Omega Supreme, he was in the Transformation themed box back in February. And you could sign up for just that one Loot Crate, or you could do a rolling subscription if you liked what you got and you wanted to keep it going. So I believe it was $19.99. You got a t-shirt, some other stuff, and then you got the exclusive, there's air quotes going on there, an exclusive Omega Supreme card. He's the same size as Metroplex and the coming soon Triptychon. So yeah, you got this Loot Crate, and it took a while to show up. A lot of people were kind of bummed, and that's what Loot Crate you would come to expect from Loot Crate. From what I've heard, is that it would take a while to get. But anyway, he arrived. He's a large card, and people were a little underwhelmed with his stat line, and you knew what you were getting. He was announced. You saw what his stats were, and he's underpowered, and the team over at Wizards of the Coast have actually stated that he was released intentionally underpowered due to his limited availability. They didn't want to make him extremely strong or even tending towards competitive, just due to the fact that he was only available through Loot Crate, and they didn't want to make him a staple that you had to figure out how to get or else. So February, well, that's a long time ago in the grand scheme of things. So I can't get him right now. No. So as of this podcast recording, if you still haven't gotten a hold of him through official retail channels, not talking about eBay, not talking about Amazon, or through trades at your local game store, he retails for $15.99 on Loot Vault, which is where all of the products that weren't distributed through Loot Crate, through subscriptions, they sell them off as one-offs, kind of making it not exclusive to that Loot Crate initial subscription, which is kind of a bummer if you're somebody who signed up just for this card, taking a chance on whether or not he showed up in the Loot Vault. So $15.99, and right now there's a last chance coupon. I took a look, and it's just last chance, all caps, gives you 80% off your card. So that brings him down to $3.20, depending on what tax is in your area. $3.20. You have to pay $5 shipping, so that brings you up to $8 something. So you're still under $10, and you can get, worst case scenario, you have a cool collector's item, even if he's not playable in your local area, or if you take him to any tournaments and he doesn't pan out. At least you have an awesome big card that you won't see again. So get him while you can, less than $10. Again, that's code LAST CHANCE, all one word, all caps, at checkout, 80% off the $15.99 price point. So pretty good deal. There's only, I think it said there was 25 left. I don't know if that's accurate, but 25 left to pick up. And this isn't sponsored by Loot Crate or anything like that, but I just thought that was a great deal and it was worth noting. So yeah, Wizard of the Coast, some of the representatives on the design team and the brand team, they said that he was released intentionally underpowered. So that's a bummer. If you like Omega Supreme, I think he's a really cool character. The first time I saw him, I didn't even know his name, and I saw him in the introduction for Robots in Disguise, And I just thought his design was so much different than the other characters. And then the first time you see him is actually in the Secret of Omega Supreme episode, I believe, where he fights Astro Train. I may have gotten the episode name wrong, but he fights Astro Train in space. And he's just a really cool character, really odd. His toy was a tank that had a racetrack that revolved around a space shuttle. And then he transformed into this massive character with a visor and a claw and a laser arm. So very cool character. So that's why I'm focusing on this episode, because I think he's so interesting. He's got some really deep lore. If you want to even get into that, you can go on Wikipedia and all those other websites and read up on him. But he's a very cool character, very cool color scheme. Looks nothing like the other bots. So, man, it stinks that he's underpowered. So let's talk about some of the things that make him the character that he is right now. We have to deal with it, right? And what we can do with cards that we have right now that we know about and can get. So, in his alt mode, we'll start with his alt mode, because that's where we start when we start the game. He is a 4 attack, which is below average, 24 health, and then 2 defense in his alt mode. He's got 4 keywords in his alt mode, so he is a guardian, which there are no current cards that take that guardian keyword and allow you to do anything with it. He is a spaceship. We have unconventional flying object, which we'll talk about later. He's a tank, and he is ranged. His alt mode ability is when you flip to this mode, you can draw a card, or you can do 1 damage to an enemy. So you have that indirect damage. He's a tank, so thematically that makes sense. Flip to the tank mode, volley of fire, shoot off your cannon, do a damage, or draw a card. I picture him doing like a lap around the spaceship and maybe finding another action card. I don't know. So he is Omega Supreme Autobot Defense Base. That's his title, Autobot Defense Base. So 24 health, you're like, oh man, that's a ton of health, right? You think of some of the other characters that we have, 24 health is a lot. I think Metroplex is the other highest non-combiner health, and then you start getting into some of the super rares and some of the other single cards that we've seen in the 14s and the 15s. So 24 health, that's a lot. But you don't get too excited because he's a 19 cost. He is a 19 cost character. So that definitely handicaps him in a couple of different ways, most notably who you can bring with him. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, so in his alt mode, and I'm physically flipping this card here, and just because it's so awesome to take a look at, so might as well enjoy myself, right? So just an awesome looking design. Take a look at it online if you can. He is still a guardian in his bot mode. He's still ranged, so that's nice to keep that ranged. Sometimes you see the flip to melee or the total loss of melee or ranged in bot mode. We get a nice bump in the base attack damage. He's a 7 attack damage in his bot mode. He drops down a defense though, so we're at 1 defense as opposed to the 2 defense that we get in alt mode. This ability, very unique in bot mode. If one of your other characters, and you're probably only going to have one other character, if one of your other characters would take 2 or more attack damage, instead you may have this character, so Omega Supreme, you may have this take 2 of that damage and your other character take the rest. So you have a partner character, it has already done its defense flips. We know now, after attack and defense has been taken into account, yes, I would take attack damage here. Now we can use Omega Supreme's bot mode ability at any time. It doesn't have to be if he was flipped or if he's untapped or anything like that. It's just conditional on if I would take damage on a non-Omega Supreme character, then Omega Supreme can filter 2 of that damage and make the character take the rest. So let's say we had 4 attack from attack and orange flips. We had 2 defense on our side. There's 2 damage coming through. Omega Supreme can say, hey, I'll take that 2. Or if it was 4, I can take 2 of it. You're still going to have to take 2. Sorry, dude, but this is all I can do. So he can be a guardian and mitigate 2 damage of what would be taken. So that's pretty cool. It's unique. It definitely plays into that guardian thematic. So from a theme standpoint, I'm really feeling how it's thematic. He's a guardian. He's mitigating damage. He's a tank. He's shooting off damage to the enemy. So very cool. I like the 7 attack, and that definitely comes into handy. Comes in hand. I don't know what I'm saying. 7 attack is awesome. It's not amazing, but it's way better than only having 4 like we do in his alt mode. The defense, not too happy about, but I typically play him in a major blue deck, so all blue. So that's his stat line. Underpowered. Yeah. So you compare him to other characters that are, in a tall deck, and tall deck meaning that instead of being wide with 3, 4, 5 characters, or even 6 if you're playing Devastator, in wider decks you have more characters with less health, and the stats are lower. But in taller decks you have less characters. Usually they have higher health and higher stats if they're balanced and they're going to be viable in competitive play. So Mega Supreme, he's a taller character. He has 24 health, so about 2.5 times that of a normal bot. A normal 5 or 6-star bot usually has anywhere from 8 to 10 health, right? So it's just a smidge in terms of tuning. It's just a smidge under what you would want to see for him to be worth playing and really trying to make him work, right? So if he had 8 attack and 5, if everything was just bumped up just maybe 1 point, he would be over that scale. But he's just underneath it, and that was intentional. So I've talked about what his card is, right? So you're starting to think right now, oh man, what could I play with him? Who could I bring in? So he is a 19-star cost card. So that means, if we're doing quick maths, he can do a maximum 6-star character card with him. And then we have some 5-star cards and even some 4-star cards that have been released. 4 is the lowest that we've seen released, and most of those are your Metroplex cards, so Slammer, Scrapper, or Scamper, and 6-Gun. And then some of the Constructicons, 4-star. So there's definitely some 4-star cards out there. But possible partners, you have over 50 character cards split across Wave 1, Wave 2, and Wave 3 that you can put with Omega Supreme. Now that's You're already handicapping yourself and playing on the back foot by choosing a tall character assortment, and you're choosing Omega Supreme, which isn't even the best. If you're going tall deck, not even the best, right? So we want to talk about who the best characters are that you could put with him, but I'll just ramble off a few. You can jump onto the Transformers trading card game app and take a look at which ones qualify for this. But you've got Kickback, Ransack, Red Alert, Flame War, Ironhide, Prowl, Starter Starscream from the Wave 2 starter set. You've got Warpath, the Windblade from the starter set, Blowpipe. A lot of the Wave 3 Battle Masters will work with him. So Blowpipe, you've got Nightstick, Taraxodon, Smashdown. So a lot of those will work as well, which that your other bot's going to die. Pretty sure that he's going to die first. So, hey, he's going to die. Maybe I can equip him to Omega Supreme, but, is that really worth it? We'll talk about that. But yeah, over 50 characters. I was surprised when I was, doing the research for this to make sure that I had all the facts. I didn't even know there was that many characters that were 6 stars and under. So over 50 characters, that's crazy. I looked over their abilities, I looked over their stat lines, and really, we're talking about min-maxing an off-meta, almost what you would call a troll pick. But you're not on a team with anybody, so you can't really be trolling anybody but yourself. So you want to pick the best character to put with him that synergizes the best with him. So here's a few that I've got that I pulled aside, and we're going to go through by wave. So wave 1, and this character card finds its way into a ton of decks just because of its general use case and its low star cost. So Flame War, wave 1, tough 1 in bot mode, and then when you flip to its alt mode, you get bold for that turn of 1. 10 HP, 3 attack, 1 defense. It's a 5-star. So again, I was saying you could have a 6-star character, so 5 stars, so that allows us to squeak in a star card if we want to. So that tough 1 is very valuable. Again, I have experience running Omega Supreme with mostly blue, so tough 1 is definitely desired, especially if you haven't put an armor on Omega Supreme yet. Having the additional card flip is needed in order to keep him alive as long as possible. And then Flame War benefits from that tough 1 as well. 3 attack, that's most likely only going to find its way through as 1 or 2 if you're going against all orange. 3 attack is not really valuable unless you have Pierce of 3 to make sure that gets through. So yeah, Flame War, tough 1, and the ability to play a star card, 10 health, which is more than some of the other characters we're going to talk about. So that's Flame War. Moving on, we got Swoop. So Swoop's an Autobot, so that allows us to play some of the Autobot cards with maximum efficiency, such as Press the Advantage, Confidence, Noble's Blaster. So Swoop kind of synergizes in a couple different ways, and maybe a stretch, but you have the additional indirect damage you can do. When you flip to Swoop's alt mode, you can actually take one of the damage counters that's been placed on Swoop from an attack and put that on a defending character. So not only are you healing 1, so a little rest and relaxation there, you can then move that over to the other side. So it's a zap and a rest and relaxation rolled all into 1. 10 health, 6-star, so we're not going to be able to play a star card in here. 6-star card, 3 attack, and 2 defense in alt mode. So if you're playing blue, that synergizes nicely because we have a 2 defense for our side character. So making that low 10 HP a little bit more efficient. But we also have the glass cannon, and for a 6-star cost, 5 attack, I'll take it. We have 0 defense though, so this is, if he's dying on the next turn regardless, let's flip to this mode and let's try to get as much of this damage through. So we've got 5 attack, 0 defense in his bot mode. He's a wave 1 common character. Flame War is also a common. So yeah, Swoop, I like Swoop because of the 5 attack. Omega Supreme has 4 in his alt mode, and you've got a 6-star character with 5. That looks pretty good, right? And then he's got the cheeky damage or the indirect damage, non-attack damage that we're moving over, and he's healing. So maybe I can last an extra turn where I wouldn't have normally. And then that's not even talking about action cards and abusing that healing and the cheeky damage. So hey, so Swoop is on the table, right? So let's move over to Jazz. Now, the concept of sideboarding came to mind when I was looking at Jazz. So sideboarding is in an official tournament. or any type of company or Wizards of the Coast sanctioned play, and then if the organizers want it's not sanctioned and they want to recognize sideboards. Sideboards is basically being able to have additional cards that you can swap out after you've played your first game. So depending on the local meta, the local flavor, you can bring in an Acid Storm, so you can shut down Bold, hopefully. You can bring in action cards, and it's less than 10 cards, and you can't choose from your entire selection of cards and be like and totally change everything up. But you have a small amount of edge case cards that can help you deal with some pretty common occurrences, right? So Bold being one of those. So Jazz comes to mind after that long-winded explanation that was somewhat incomplete of sideboards. Jazz comes to mind because he gets shut down by Pierce. And with the release of Wave 3, Pierce is, with that black pip that we've talked about in the past, Pierce and that black pip. Black pips, when drawn, give you Pierce. Before the black pip was added, you had to play an action, have an ability, or play an upgrade that gave you that Pierce. It was not something you could get passively or actively through card flips. Now you can. So that makes Jazz a wait and see, or I don't think anybody's playing Pierce. They're just playing straight orange, no Pierce, no black. Hey, maybe Jazz can be useful here. Like, okay, so let's jump into Jazz now that we talk about why you shouldn't play him. But he almost is a noob trap in what we're already talking about as being an edge case. But hey, I'm passionate about this. I like this character, and so this gets me excited. So Jazz, his ability that makes him very synergistic with Omega Supreme is flip 2 white cards while defending. If you flip 2 white cards while defending, reduce all damage to 2. So, hey, I had 14 Bold, you're taking 30 damage. Oh, I flipped 2 white, and you had no Pierce. Now I'm going to take 2. Rewind, what was Omega Supreme's spot mode ability? Hey, I can take 2 damage, and I'll absorb that, and you take the rest. So you flip 2 whites. Jazz is on defense. Let's say you swung first with him from the onset of the game. He's vulnerable. They answer. They attack him. You flip 2 white. Hey, I'm going to reduce that down to 2. Omega Supreme, he's in bot mode. Hey, I'm not taking anything. So Jazz just survived. They whiffed an attack, and all that came through was 2 damage on Omega Supreme. Pretty cool. Well, it goes down from here. He is a 10 HP, 3 attack, 0 defense. 3-0 is his stat line in both modes. His other ability is flip 2 whites, and you get Pierce. Okay, but again, he's 6 stars, so we can't bring a star card in. It sounds cool, and it definitely play tested very fun in a non-Pierce deck. It was fun to have that trigger and shirk off a giant swing. Is it going to work? I wouldn't chance it unless you were sure that there was going to be no Pierce around. And then you have to sub in enough white cards in order to have his ability fire all the time. So you're talking about taking out valuable blues or even some oranges, orange actions, orange upgrades that you want to have while keeping them limited in this blue deck. So if you want to get your whites every time Jazz is defending, you have to make sure that math is pretty good without going overboard, and then you're losing your blues when Omega Supreme is defending, and those whites are useless to him. He needs those blues in order to withstand as many attacks as possible. So that's wave 1. Flame War, Swoop, and Jazz. Moving on, we got Wave 2. So this is the one you see pop up the most. Hey, I want to play Omega Supreme. Who should I put with him? Hey, here's my Omega Supreme deck idea, blah, blah, blah. So, and this is the one I run currently. I ran Jazz. I've tried Swoop. I've tried Flame War. But I'm stuck right now on Warpath. So Warpath is a Autobot tank from Wave 2. He's a rare 6-star character. He is a tank. He's got a big tank barrel or tank cannon sticking out of his chest. So he looks really cool. He's 6-star, and he's a rare. So the other 6-star rares I know of, and again, could be wrong, that aren't Battle Masters or anything like that, is Acid Storm, which is kind of his counterpart. So Warpath, what's he do? So let's talk about his stat line first. His alt mode, he's a 4 attack and 2 defense. He's got 6 health. In alt mode, 2 attack, blah, and 3 defense. So, okay. 6-star card, 3 defense on 6 health makes that 6 health more efficient. Very cool. So Warpath, what does he do? What's his abilities? So thankfully he is not blank on either side. You wouldn't be able to play him if there'd be no reason to play him if he was blank on either side. So he, in his bot mode, enemies cannot use tough, and he has Pierce 2. So his attacks will be good for 2, guaranteed every time. Awesome. Unless somebody plays a card that reduces your Pierce, which is no bueno for you. But, so no tough for enemies. So if you're going into a deck that plays blue and uses tough, we're shutting that down. Not extremely common, but because, this deck is running tough, and we'll get into that. But no tough, cool. But what he can do, which is even cooler, and this is going to synergize with the indirect damage that we're already doing with Omega Supreme in his alt mode, is we are going to be punishing the use of double blue pip cards. So no tough for enemies in his bot mode, but then when we flip over to that tank mode, we're going to punish Security Checkpoint, we're going to punish Handheld Blaster, and for every one of those that's in their discard pile, you're going to do 1 damage. So it's 1 instance of 1 damage for each blue, so the opponent chooses which one that damage goes to. So that is cool. So you can, if you need to be paying attention and saying, okay, so I just saw them flip 2 Handheld Blasters, or pay attention to that so you know what the maximum effect you can have with Warpath's ability. So you know that there's 4 damage worth of double blues in their discard pile. Awesome. So you flip them over, your opponent chooses a character, they do 1 damage to it for each blue. So that's awesome. That is cool. So that makes him valuable. But again, we're talking about, not to keep reiterating, but this is a very experimental, and your success may vary. So you need to maximize. Every single damage counts. Every single damage that you don't take counts. So if you can make up for the fact that you don't have a 3rd character by doing this indirect damage and lasting as long as possible, Warpath looks very appealing, even though he only has 6 health. You're going to be able to withstand a couple attacks, maybe 1, maybe 2. In my experience, I've been able to withstand at least 2. So that's Warpath. That's the Golden Boy tank robot for right now. Golden Boy. Wave 3. So Wave 3 has the Battle Masters, but I wanted to pick just one. We're not going bold. Well, I'm not going bold with Omega Supreme. You can try orange and bold with Omega Supreme and see how that goes. But we're talking about blue Omega right now. So we're not going to be doing Lionizer because that bold would go out the window. So I looked at Smashdown, and he's a promotional card from the release day. So this is double promo action. Smashdown is a Battlemaster, and in his weapon mode, when he gets KO'd, so he's 5-star. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So 5-star, 2/6/2, so 2 attack, 2 defense, 6 health. He is a weapon, so he takes up a weapon slot once he gets KO'd. He gives you your Omega Supreme +2, and when you attack, if you flip more color variety of pips than your opponent, then you get an extra 2 attack damage until the end of turn. So that's basically 2, because you're not going to be going any longer after that turn. So you're going to have +4 if you flip more pips. So the deck I run has some green, has some white, has some blue, and has a little bit of orange. Not very much. So the ability to trigger Smashdown's extra 2 is it can happen. So we're using a weapon that's got 4 attack damage. So that takes your 7 to 11 or your 4 to 8, alt mode and bot mode. So that's Smashdown. He's not going to do anything when he is in his bot mode. He has no ability. His text, don't let it get you excited. It just explains what a Battlemaster does. So he's, for all intents and purposes, blank on his bot side. He's got 2 attack and 2 defense. And the goal, really, for a Battlemaster is to get some value out of them while they're in bot mode, but not have them stick around forever because you want to get the value out of that other side. So that's Smashdown. Then I was looking at Roadhugger, and I don't see a lot of people talking about some of these Micromasters. There's some decks where it's really wide, and they try to do some stuff with them. But I was looking at Roadhugger, and we'll get into the synergy, but we'll just really quickly talk about a scenario. So Roadhugger is 3, 7, and 1, so he's already looking better than Smashdown's bot mode. 3, 7, and 1, both sides. He's a Decepticon, so we can't really run those Autobot cards with maximum efficiency. So Roadhugger's Decepticon, he's a car, sports car patrol is one of his keywords. But he has a tap ability, and most Micromasters do. They basically stand in for actions at the cost of tapping them, so you forego your attack, but you get to use their ability text. So we're going to tap Roadhugger, discard a blue card, and once you've done that, you can give +3 attack to another character on your team. So let's say we flip Omega Supreme and draw a card. So we flip from bot to alt mode. We use his ability to draw a card. We feed our hand. Let's say we get a blue. This is best case scenario. We get a blue if we didn't already have one. We then discard that blue. We tap Roadhugger, and we now have what is essentially the leap into battle effect of +3 attack. So awesome. We just put our attack up 3, and that was essentially what Roadhugger would do when he was attacking. Maybe not, but then we open him up to attack, and we go down that road. So leap into battle, we discard a blue card, give +3 to Omega Supreme. Cool. And there's a lot of different things you could do to get Omega Supreme back into his highest attack mode, or you can keep him in his tank mode for his defense. So those are the characters that I looked at and I saw initial or immediate value in. Yes, you could play him with Razorclaw. You could play him with most of the non-Volcanicus and non-Optimus, what's his name? It's Optimus Maximus. So you can play him with any of the non-Sentinels or non-Dinobot combiners. So you've got all the aerial bots, most of the Stunticons, and the Constructicons, and the Predacons. So you can play him with those characters, but they're basically separate from one another. They don't feed into each other. that much. But you can look into them. So those are the characters that I looked at and I thought there was some value to. Which one are you going to try if you're going to pick up an Omega Supreme for less than $10 and try them out with character? Which one are you going to try out? So, a character is only as good as their deck, and deck is composed of actions and upgrades. So a couple of actions that I play and that I've looked at, you have a lot of your staples, but here's some that take advantage of the keywords that Omega Supreme and his cohort will have. So let's roll into the tank cards first. So two-pronged attack works for both planes and tanks. It's a rare from Wave 3, so it's relatively new. What it does for Omega Supreme, choose a tank, and your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. So this is a card that can be ran with either tanks or planes, so add some extra value there. So if both of your cards are tanks, it doesn't really matter. It's just hey, dude, you need to discard 2 cards from your hand, you choose. So some disruption there. It's an orange pip, so you want to be careful not to have too many of those, because then your defense is going to be inefficient as much as we need it to be efficient to stay alive. Then we have Hunker Down, and this one there's a ton of value in Hunker Down for a couple of reasons, but it's a single blue pip. It's a rare from Wave 1. I run an entire playset, so 3 versions, 3 copies of this card. So Hunker Down, it's a rare. Flip all of your tanks from bot mode to tank mode. Upgrade them if they don't have an armor on them already. Go ahead and take an armor from your discard pile and place it on them. So let's say you have 2 armors in your discard pile. We haven't upgraded yet. Let's say this is the second turn, so you're able to play 1 action. Hey, I want to play Hunker Down. I've got my Omega Supreme in bot mode. Even though I'm not getting the max value out of it, I'm going to flip and then upgrade. So that's really cool. So Hunker Down is a staple, in my opinion. The blue pip, the ability to flip over, you're getting extra value there because we're able to draw a card or do 1 damage to an enemy with Omega Supreme's ability. So not only are we upgrading him if we've discarded, which most likely we have discarded, and let's hope there's an armor in there. If not, sad days. But do 1 damage to an enemy or draw a card and feed that. Very cool. Set you up for later down the road. And then Wave 3 as well. I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern here. It's another rare. So Omega Supreme is looking like an expensive deck. No, some of these rares are pretty cheap, or you can trade it your LCG. So Unconventional Flying Object. It's a rare from Wave 3. This only works for Omega Supreme in the deck that we're looking at. But it allows you to flip a spaceship. So Omega Supreme in his alt mode is a spaceship. Remember that shuttle that he orbits around on, or drives around on his little track. So flip a spaceship to bot mode and then back. So we're already in tank mode, or in his bot mode, or spaceship mode. He's got so many modes. So we flip him to bot mode. We don't get any value out of that flip, because remember that flip only diverts some damage, sponges up a little bit. But when we come back, we get to draw a card or do 1 damage to an enemy. So, and then we have our normal flip. So we could have started in bot mode, used our 1 flip per turn, flip him to tank mode, do 1 damage or draw a card, play Unconventional Flying Object, flip him to bot, and then back. So we're back into our higher defense mode, but we also get to trigger that ability again. So you can start to think about some of the combos you could do where we use our flip, we use Brainstorm, we use Unconventional Flying Object for the flip, mode flip, or transform, and then we could throw Rapid Conversion in there, or we could throw Escape Route in there, and we could flip back and forth multiple times which would start to give me a headache if I was Omega Supreme, but we can get that cheeky damage off, or that indirect damage, or we can start to fill our card, or our hand with multiple cards that hopefully we can use to keep Omega alive. So those are some of the actions, right? And a couple other ones: Leap into Battle gives you +3 attack. Brainstorm, I mentioned, gives you the ability to play 2 actions on your turn, and then in addition to Brainstorm, obviously. And then we have Escape Route, which is a white pip and green pip. So the green pip allows you to get it into your hand faster through your draw power, which is good. You have that like searching ability. So the Escape Route allows me to, again, proc my bot mode ability, which I want to be able to do as often as possible, just to get in. Again, you're trying to make up for the fact you don't have a third character to attack with. So getting that indirect damage in there is a must. Crushing Treads, we're moving on to upgrades. So Crushing Treads is a Wave 1 uncommon, single orange pip, works on tanks only, and it's a utility. So the character that's been upgraded with Crushing Treads has Pierce equal to the defense. So I've tried versions of this deck that run Pierce. I have not run Crushing Treads. I didn't have it. I haven't drawn up any proxies. I think that would be the best way to do it, is just draw up some proxies and see if it's worth it. If so, grab a playset if you don't have one already. But so you're going to have defense with Omega Supreme if you're running a blue deck and you choose to run a few Crushing Treads to take advantage of the fact that you're going to be flipping blues. So if you're if you're worried that the attack damage isn't going to go through, Crushing Treads is nice to have, because you're hopefully getting most of that through with that Pierce. Now, and you know, like I said earlier, every piece of attack damage that you can get through it is vital. You can't really err on the side of the opposite of caution. You can't be willy-nilly and be like, I got 3 attack through on this time, when every turn is vital for Omega Supreme. So there's Crushing Treads. If you are interested in Pierce, Crushing Treads is a must. Noble's Blaster. So this is a Wave 2 uncommon, single blue, single green, +2 attack. We're working with a weapon here. +2 attack, and then if we're attacking a Decepticon, Pierce 2. Okay, so Pierce comes through here. So I like this for a couple of reasons. I like that it has a green pip. So if I want to turn Omega Supreme on with a weapon as soon as possible, I'm going to be flipping anywhere from 2 to 4 cards on defense, and sometimes even on attack if a white comes through. So I can pick that up and get it into my hand as soon as possible. That's why I like it. Versus Decepticons, from what I've seen, most people in Constructed are running Autobots, so that Pierce doesn't come into play as often as I'd like, but when it does, hey, that's awesome to have. The alternative, if we're talking about similar stats, would be Primary Laser, but Primary Laser is blue, no green, so getting it into your hand, and then there's no Pierce there. And you know, there's tons of alternatives for weapons, but Noble's Blaster is one that I like. I do see other people suggesting some other weapons like Energon Axe. Energon Axe is a expensive card in terms of purchasing it a la carte, if you will, not pulling it in a pack. You will see people, and I'm sure those of you listening are pulling your hair out and be like, you have to play Energon Axe. It's a staple. You need it. So if there was money on the line, yes, I would invest in a playset of this card for this deck. And I would suggest that you do too. If there was high stakes, make sure you get a set of that card. But I'm rolling with Noble's Blaster. Reinforced Plating, a must-have for armor. I've tried Evasive Maneuvers. It gives you tough 3, but then you're scrapping that after a defense. So every turn and every upgrade that you play is valuable. So the fact that you have to scrap evasive maneuvers, that's not great. But reinforced plating, on the other hand, one less tough, and we get to keep it on us until somebody scraps it with a ramming speed or a vaporize or a smelt. Speaking of vaporizing, you run vaporize because there are some weapons that we don't want to stay around too long, because more damage on Omega Supreme is not fun. Especially armor, those extra paddings, those armored platings, reinforced platings, force fields, no bueno. So definitely you need to run some vaporize. And we talked a little bit about star cards. So I was thinking about Magnus armor, Ultra Magnus's armor. It's a 2-star card, so you have to run a 4-star character. So I'm looking at you, Slammer. So Ultra Magnus armor gives us +2 sword, +2 shield, and +2 attack. So that's pretty cool. I might have to try it out. I have Slammer. I have a copy of Ultra Magnus armor. But what about the single star cards? So we've got Heroic Team Up, which is an Autobot card. So if we're playing Warpath or Slammer, we can take Heroic Team Up, which is a single orange and single blue pip card. So that's nice to have if you're paying for it with a star. But basically what we do here is very similar to what Roadhugger does, or even what it's actually less similar to Roadhugger and more similar to Thrust from Wave 2. You tap one of your characters and donate that attack damage from that character to the other. So you could tap Omega Supreme if you wanted and donate that 7 to, let's say, your Warpath and give him some additional attack damage. Or you do the other and tap your smaller guy and give it to Omega Supreme, giving him a steroid. So you tap and donate the damage, attack damage. Then we have Leap of Faith, which is a very popular star card. When you have an additional star, Leap of Faith always comes into the conversation. LOF. I'm calling it that. Leap of Faith. I'm sure other people call it that too. Always have to summarize as fast and quick as possible, which I did not do. I gumbled it up. But you get to scrap the top card of your deck when you play Leap of Faith and play it. And once you played and resolved that card, you get to scrap another one and play it. So, we're playing a 5-star. Let's say we're playing Flame War, and we have Leap of Faith. So we play it. Let's say we get Brainstorm from Leap of Faith, and we have 2 actions in our hand. Scrap it, play 2 actions, your choice. Let's say for maximum attack damage, we have 2 Leap into Battles. Play Leap into a Faith. We get a Brainstorm. We play 2 Leap into Battles. Hey, that's +6 attack damage. But then, wait, we get to scrap another card and play that one. So if it's dumb luck, you can get some really cool plays. Play an upgrade or play some actions. Or you can bring some plan in there with Datapad or Security Console and start planning and stacking your deck so that you can use Leap of Faith to its maximum effect. But those are the star cards that I think we could bring in to Omega Supreme. But I'm very interested in what you have done with Omega Supreme, or some of the ideas you have after taking a look at the card. So let me know. You can comment on our Twitter at DPipcast. You can talk in the Facebook page just for Transformers, or you can talk to us on our Facebook page. And just say, hey Cam, I wanted to let you know that I ran all orange with Omega Supreme and I got waxed. Or no, I ran orange with Omega Supreme, or I ran this character, because I would really like to see what you have seen that I haven't. But this is just what I've looked at with Omega Supreme. So wrapping it up, is he the strongest? No. Is he cool as hell? Yes. He's a spaceship tank, and he's got a crane machine hand and a laser hand. Crane machine, laser, tank, spaceship. Sounds awesome to me. Get one while they last on Loot Vault for less than $10 using coupon code LASTCHANCE. Play a tall deck with him and let me know how it works out. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Cam with the Double Pipcast. I appreciate it, and we'll see you for episode 8 next week.